All right, I wanted to make a video that's kind of like talking to myself, but it's also like explanation to some of you guys who are maybe in a weird spot where you're trying to succeed on something and you're kind of struggling, and it would kind of help you to just understand like why I succeeded. And then maybe there's some things in this video that you can kind of apply to your life and start to succeed yourself, right? So, point number one is I took the risk and deviated outside of the normal, right? The normal life is working a corporate job. The normal life is committing to a life of servitude for 4 to 8 years, going to college, and then committing another multi-decade, life of servitude to the corporate ladder. This was not something that I wanted to do, and I understood that if I didn't want to do this, that I was taking a risk because I didn't have anybody to lean on. My parents at the time were not entrepreneurs. The classic, abusive father who left and was, useless experience. And I had a mother who was very strong, very powerful woman who would do anything to keep me protected, but only within the control that she had, right? Because once again, her life wasn't necessarily the greatest either. She had some messed up parents. And so the point is, I knew that I was taking a risk by doing something that other people don't do, because realistically, I could have just gone to school, did my studies, got a good job. But the thing is, I didn't want to do that. That in my eyes, that wasn't success. In my eyes, that was mediocrity. And I didn't want to live in mediocrity. And so I needed to take the risk, and I just took it. That is the first point, and there's nothing much more to it. I took the risk. Number two is I worked my ass off. I worked my ass off. Any time block that I had when I was working my regular jobs, I was working on my business every time block. If it didn't matter if I needed to wake up at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, it did not matter what time I needed to wake up. I knew that I needed to allocate time to something else if I ever wanted to make it. And so that's exactly what I did. I worked a regular job, and during the hours that I could, I was on my phone working or learning or something. And then when I was off work, I wasn't going out partying. I wasn't going to bars. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't doing anything besides just focusing on the goals that I had. And I worked my ass off. To this day, I still work more than most people who have mediocre lives. I still work more than them. I see them and they have these mediocre lives, and I'm like, wow, it genuinely upsets me for somebody to live such a terrible, what I would deem a terrible life. And I know that everybody likes to claim that they're happy, but they're really not. I mean, like, it's funny, you kind of talk to these people that are not monumentally successful, and you tell them all the things that you need to do in order to be successful, and they will literally tell you that sounds terrible. They will tell you how sad of a life you have. Like, for an example, my creative director told me, I was trying to emphasize to him why he needed to do these certain things so he could be happy and healthy and be successful. And he told me that it sounded like such a sad life. But then he was also the one who would come to me and tell me that he was very upset that insurance wouldn't cover his root canal, right? And he was very upset at the world. This ruined his week. I would hear about it for a week. Okay, so yes, my life comes with a lot of sacrifice, but I'm never unhappy with any of my circumstances. There's never anything that hits me in my life that I'm genuinely upset at, in the same way that a lot of mediocre life people have. And it's sad and it's shitty, and I know, and I get it. I understand like why you guys are so upset all of the time. I get it. Life is not fair. Like, nobody ever claimed for life to be fair. And I think that this is something that genuinely frustrates me, is like people will cry and complain almost as if they were told that life was supposed to be fair and only your life isn't. No, my life isn't fair. Far from it, so far from it. But I take self-accountability on all of it. And I reflect and I analyze moving forward to avoid anything that is just going to avoid anything that just happens to me that is outside of my control. I really do. I really do. And I work my absolute ass off every single day. The next point is I never stopped learning. I never stopped learning. A lot of people, when they finish high school and they finish college, they quit learning. They think that they've learned everything that they need to learn, and now they can go and get a job, and that's it. I learn every single day. I like to prioritize at least 2 to 3 hours of my day dedicated to just the utmost learning capabilities that I can. Okay. I spend as much time as I possibly can when I'm not because throughout it starts to get more difficult to learn as you start to achieve more things. I really do believe that, because as I start to become more successful, I end up really busy. I get really busy. And so there's not too much time for me to learn, but I still dedicate at least 2 hours a day to just learning something new. And every time I learn something new, I notice that my income increases, because the more you know is definitely directly correlated to the level of success that you have, right? I don't think that like McDonald's employees are lesser than I am. I really don't. But they don't have the level of success that I have. I don't think that this is because they're lesser. I think this is because they just don't know what I know. But if they knew what I knew, then we would be at the same exact playing field. A lot of people think get rich quick is just a scam. I know for a fact it's not a scam. You can get rich quick. I got rich quick. I know a lot of people that get rich quick. Okay. So knowledge, if they just had the knowledge that I knew, then they would not be working at McDonald's. Does that make sense? So knowledge is absolutely a direct correlation between you and your income. The next point is I completely invest into myself instead of into other things. I invest into my own education. I invest into my own businesses. I invest into anything that will benefit me. Health. I invest into vitamins. I know it sounds crazy, but I invest into vitamins because vitamins are like great for you and your cognitive ability and your energy and your brain function, everything. Okay. I also invest a lot of time into myself, exercise, gym, stuff that's healthy for me. I also invest a lot of money into my education. I also invest a lot of money and time and resources into just me. And a lot of people like to always just invest time, effort, resources, and energy into other people on accident. Nobody's like really going out of their way to invest time and energy, but it's like somebody has a problem, like one of their friends has a problem. They are more than happy with packing up everything in a certain, everything that they had planned for that entire day and then going investing all of that time into that person, which those are people that just constantly have problems and constantly, just these hectic lives that are actually just bringing everybody down around them. I do not do that. I make sure to prioritize myself first. Okay. And now the last point is I just genuinely gave a shit about my outcome. I really did. I looked at, my father's life and I looked at, his father's life and I looked at like my bloodline's life and majority of them have some pretty sad lives. Um, and I didn't want that. I just genuinely gave a shit about how I turned out. I didn't want to just be the product of my generic environment. I didn't. I look around me and I see so many people that are just seem so upset about something all of the time. And this is not the life that I wanted to live. I genuinely gave a shit about how I was going to turn out. And here we are. It caused me to do things that deviated outside of the normal. It caused me to do certain things that I realistically would not have done otherwise if I didn't give a shit about myself, and if I didn't give a shit about my outcome. But here we are in today's day and age, with so many learning opportunities that it's almost criminal to not give a shit about your outcome because the outcomes that are possible are so massive. And it's never been a better time in this world to be rich than it is now. Never been a better time. We have the coolest technology. And I guess like every generation could possibly say that, but I really believe that this generation is even better than those previous generations because we have so many cool things. All right. And realistically, it's not going to get that much better. It will get better, right? I mean, people that, like we already have the coolest cars ever. Cars will get better, they'll get faster, but realistically, we've already had like the coolest cars. I mean, it's the only thing that would really change that is like stuff that's like flying on the ground. But honestly, I don't even really want that. Like, I love the life that I have, and I love the generation that I was born in, and I just genuinely gave a shit about my outcome. Okay, this is exactly why I succeeded. There's nothing more, and there's nothing less to it.